One thing just on my mind, I guess, is mostly when it comes to like deportations. You had this whole 4 years of Biden essentially just letting people in, and now it seems like the courts, specifically the Supreme Court decision over the weekend, to just kind of knocking down Trump's ability to kind of get these people out. So I guess at what point, do you look at, people voted for Trump specifically, to get a mass amount of deportees out of here. At what point, do you just, kind of throw your hands up and say it's necessary? It's almost impossible. It's like, I also think a little bit that people aren't thinking though is, Congress also needs to act on this. They're blaming the courts, they're blaming Trump, in some ways, or his administration, but they're not really looking at Congress for, enacting any of these laws. But even though, the Alien Enemies Act was a law and it's still getting struck down by, Supreme Court, essentially, it's like, at what point, what can you really do to kind of get this in motion?
Dan.
Well, I think it's a great point. I think there's two different things. There is stopping the flow at the southern border. Trump deserves tremendous credit for what he has done. The numbers don't lie. It's remarkable. And it's a huge success that he ought to tout more. The second part is then how do you round up 20 million people and get them out of the country? This has always been a question that people have said, I don't know how he's going to realistically do this. How do you identify the people? How do you make sure that innocent people aren't swept up in this, right? They used Tide to say, we think you're gang members and you need to go. And once you're out, like, hey, sorry if we got it wrong, but it's too late. And I think this country affords a set of processes, both for people who, for citizens and for non-citizens. Like, it's why we love this country. You can't just discard that because you want to do something. Because then, as Joe Rogan said, if Kamala Harris comes in and has a different set of priorities on a different issue and says, well, we're going to skirt some of this because more people voted for me, right, than JD Vance, I'm making this up, I don't think that'll happen, people would freak out, right? It's just, it happens to be what you support, and a lot of Americans do, but we have protections in this country for a reason. It's what makes us great.
I think that for the last 4 years prior to President Trump, no one seemed to worry about the rule of law. People came endlessly into this country, and no one cared. From the media, no one.
Oh, the voters did. The voters did.
Sure, fair enough. But if it wasn't for them, and they issue an election, the Dems, that party, there was no auto correct. Like, you guys didn't come to your senses. The voters did it for you.
Well, Sean, and Biden changed things to make it easier for them to come. He had that authority. It was idiotic, but it wasn't that we blew the law. The guy just changed asylum rules.
No. Actually, it is against the law to enter the country illegally. And when they were stopped, the CBP were told, don't stop them, right? They didn't come through ports of entry. So they were coming over the border. It's not like they came through a port of entry and were waved through, right? So for 4 years, we were gaslit that the border was closed and it was secure, and it wasn't, and we were lied to. And I think that there's a big difference now by how the president has handled this. Also, with the case with Garcia, again, this is just such a false argument. We were told he was this loving family man from Maryland that randomly got deported. The fact is that he came to this country illegally. He was ordered by a court to be deported, and he is, according to his own statements, and the Prince George's gang unit, regardless of his tattoos or not, he is a member of MS-13. I don't know why that is something that is of concern to a lot of people. He was given an order of deportation by a court.
And then he was ordered not to deport. Then he was ordered not to be deported. The Supreme Court, the conservative Supreme Court.
No. It had to say that he should be facilitated to come back.
Hold on a second, because I reread this weekend. I read it on air yesterday, and I'm going to keep pounding this drum. They said it is indisputable he was not to be deported. The separate question is the word facilitate to get him back. But he was ordered not to be deported. There is no dispute about that.
But that was after the fact, right? So that's he'd already gone.
2019. Full stop. He was ordered. The Supreme Court said it. Even Samuel Alito did not disagree with that statement.
Okay. Well, the bottom
That
line
part's
is
true.
I do think that the Democrats paid the price for allowing the borders to be open. And look, I feel like we've gotten to a point now where this is what Trump should be focused on. And then to your question about how do we round people up, I think the president made it very clear during the campaign, and I agree with him on this, that we should be focused on people who have overstayed their visas, who have broken the law, and then go down the list. But the bottom line is, if we start going down a path where you get to decide what laws you follow and what laws you don't, we are by nature a country of laws. Entering the country as your first act illegally does not speak well for somebody that we should want in the country. If you don't like the laws that we have and the immigration policies, then we need to change them. I am a big, huge advocate of the fact that we should use this opportunity as Republicans to legislatively change the immigration system, funding wise, visa wise, etc. But you don't get to just decide what laws you follow and don't.
Thank you
Yeah,
for making
true.
my case,
Thank you,
Sean.
Joe. Hey, want to be part of the two-way community all the time? Hit the subscribe button. Great video clips like this, plus conversations like no other, full episodes and more, always available on this channel. You got to hit subscribe to never miss a thing.